From the Canticle of the Dragon, thus began the Age of Despair. The roads were tangled.
The winds and the sandstorms dwelt in the husks of cities.
The plains and mountains became our home.
As the old gods lost their power, we called to the blank sky.
Into the cold, dividing gray, to the ears of new gods.
The sky is calm, silent, unmoving. We have yet to hear their answer.
Their answer.
Their answer.
Their answer.
Their answer.
We have yet to hear their answer.
Prophecies are the twine that ties together our beliefs in ourselves and our futures, our belief that the world will be a better place if we just try, and that good will triumph over evil, that we will be happy, that we will be loved. But you see, prophecy isn't straightforward. It's not this narrow road that we want it to be. It's a compassionless web of interconnected moments and possibilities. Its twine is thin and it can be stretched too far. In a fleeting, careless moment, that twine can be cut with a knife. Prophecy isn't the triumphant end of the hero's journey. It's the hushed whispers of friends standing around the hero's grave. Tonight, you will see the weave of our dark tale of Dragonlance, its prophecies hanging in the air, waiting to be cut. And despite the grim truth of what comes next, I implore all of you who are watching tonight to believe in one thing. All of us, no matter who we are, we all still have a choice. When last we saw our companions, they had snuck into Dargard Keep, the castle of Lord Soth himself, while a battle of rebel knights and Soth's knights raged in the town below. Beyond golden doors, our companions found a small temple, long abandoned. What must have once been beautiful white marble walls were now yellow with decay. There was a set of stairs that could be seen through a shattered door in the back of the temple, leading up to a higher floor, and another set of stairs leading back down to the cold, empty, cobwebbed hall where stood Lord Soth's throne. Risking their lives against dark magic, Sir Riordan and the others shattered a black crystal prison, and they freed Lorana, the Golden General, one of the world's greatest heroes. That's where we'll begin our tale tonight. Sir Riordan. The elven warrior Lorana is awake, just barely. She is wearing an elegant black dress embroidered on one side with a single red rose. Her messy, long, golden hair covers most of her face. Lorana's arms are wrapped around your neck for support. Her last words are swirling around in your mind. You came for me. Tanis. You came. No, you didn't seem to hear Tanis's name with Lorana's cheek pressed up against yours. And then she said, I don't want to ever be away from you again. And there we are on the temple floor now. Riordan, you feel your strength returning to you. You feel your heart beating a little faster in your chest. Somewhere in the distance, a dragon roars.
General, I am here. We are here.
Where are we? Her eyes seem a little out of focus, but she's pulling away a little bit and she's looking at you now.
The keep, the home of the pretender.
Her eyes narrow at you. She seems confused. She wipes a strand of hair away from her face. Sir Riordan. Where is he? Where's the knight?
I fear he is coming.
She stumbles a little bit and falls into your shoulder. And as her head rolls back, you can see that her eyes are closed. She's swooned. She's slipping in and out of consciousness, whispering something beneath her breath, but it's inaudible. Make me a medicine check.
This is my speciality. It's a strong 5, Don.
One moment she's there, and the next moment she's not. Her eyes are closed, her skin is pale. You know that she's breathing.
He would turn to the others that, the new friends that he has met and the ones that he considers his family. Can anyone look to her?
And as you pull away from this moment, the rest of you there in the temple looking at Sir Riordan, you hear too another roar from outside the castle. So, to set the scene here, we are in Forlorn Temple. We can hear the roaring of a dragon in the distance outside of the castle. All of us are gathered around. In the center of this room, you have Sir Riordan and Lorana. Lorana wearing her black dress, pale, unconscious. He is holding her currently, and everybody else is in the room except for Honoria, who's standing just outside those open doors, and Lily, the 6-year-old girl that you've taken into your care, the daughter of Vashard, who you've brought with you, and she's currently looking wide-eyed into the room. She's wringing her hands anxiously. There are no windows in this particular room. And Sir Riordan has just turned to the rest of the group to ask if anyone can help.
Hey,
Go ahead.
we should go. We should help her, but we need to leave.
Yeah, we gotta get out of here. It's not gonna be good for us if we stay here. I don't think so.
There's not a lot that we can do to help her heal here. It's a war zone.
I mean, I can give it a go if you want, but I'm not a medical professional or anything like that.
Rukon's going to look over at Lily.
Lily, come here. Stay close.
Rukon, roll me a persuasion test.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I remember I was standing between her and the crystal as well.
Yeah.
To partially block her with me.
She did not get blasted with the same energy that everyone inside the room got blasted with.
That's a solid 1 for persuasion.
She looks at you with just this blank stare at her face, but almost defiantly, she like juts out her chin and then looks back into the room.
Nova, would you mind helping me out here? Nova.
Sorry, I really zoned out hard there. I was listening to those dragons. I don't know what was happening. All right, but yeah, I'm just kind of hop right over.
Lily looks up at you. You're not much taller than she is, but she's pretty young.
I'm 3 feet. So.
And she reaches out a hand to try to tug on your on like your shirt, on your vest, and then she points in towards Sir Riordan and Lorana inside, and she looks worried.
We'll take care of it. Don't you worry. Everything should hopefully gonna be just fine. Just gotta have a positive attitude and a good work ethic.
So here we are. Lily, the 6-year-old girl that has been taken under your care, tugs on Nova's vest and points into the temple where Sir Riordan is holding Lorana, who has swooned and gone unconscious. She looks pale. It's hard to say what exactly is wrong with her. And again, you can hear the sounds of screaming men outside, battle of some kind. Dull, it's distant, but it's there. And you are 3 floors up in Dargard Keep.
Don't worry, Lily. We're gonna get everybody out of here. No problems. Well, maybe some minor problems, but nothing we can't handle. Whoever she is, and she's gonna kind of run over to Rukon.
What, Riordan? What does she need?
I don't know. I'm having problems with slobs right now, Rukon, but I believe Lorana is also having problems with slobs.
We will take a look at this and figure out, whoever this lady is. We're just gonna, are you good with medicine,
Rukon? I've seen some things. Let me check. Can I?
Right here. Let me help you.
Can I do a medicine check with the assistance of Nova?
I also casting guidance on him.
Oh, okay.
He leveled up and got a cantrip.
So go ahead. You'll have advantage and the bonus from guidance on your medicine check.
What's the bonus for guidance?
It's a D4.
Yeah. And go ahead and describe to me how Rukon goes about, so how he approaches, how he tries to discern what's wrong with Lorana there.
So he lays her down on the ground and looks her over once, and then brings his nose very close to her torso and starts smelling and using his fingers to check like body temperature of various things, and then kind of takes his thumb and like pries open an eyeball and then blows in it. And then sees
I've got my head against her chest. She's breathing.
Does anyone else know anything about medicine?
Well, go ahead and roll that 1d4 as well, just so we have it. With advantage, this actually goes pretty well. With a 20, the two of you together, working in harmony, I guess, can tell that her heart is beating at a regular rhythm, that she's pale, and she's a little cold, but she's breathing normally. Her vital signs seem consistent with somebody who's okay, not injured, not dying, but she has dark circles under her eyes, and she looks like she needs food, water. She looks exhausted.
We don't know how long she's been in that crystal. Probably some sort of stasis magic or something. It'll hold back time. And juggle it pointedly at Honoria.
So I'm going to take my water skin out and kind of like put it up to her mouth and kind of put my thumb on her chin and kind of open up her mouth and trickle the water into her mouth.
Easy, not too much. She'll throw it all back up otherwise.
Do you know what a trickle means? Because I'm trickling.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a unit of measurement. Here, I got it for you. I have to use measurements sometimes for my work, So maybe we can just give her like 2 trickles, maybe 2.5 trickles. Give her some water.
So
what do you think the crystal could have done to her? I have some theories about being out of our timeline, possibly aging us faster and killing us. Do I think that
that's a really good theory.
Yeah, if we're out of our timeline too long, then we may be eroding at a faster rate, and she...
So allow me 2 Arcana checks.
All right.
And we'll see how these rolls go.
21 for the first one, and a natural 1 for the second.
So I will allow you to ask me 2 questions about the nature of specifically the crystal's magic, and I will answer one of those questions.
Can it benefit me in any way? And can we use it to get home?
I'll give you the same answer for both because they're pretty close. Basically, whatever magic existed in the crystal, when you shattered it, it was released outward, and for a moment, that energy almost tore you apart. You're starting to recover now, but whatever magic was there is gone. As far as how it might have affected her, I will say she's been there, at least the last time you saw Lorana was about a week ago. So she could have been inside that thing for about a week. With a 21, I'll give you the additional info that the nature of the magic was absorption. Like part of her life essence was being drained out of her while she was within the crystal.
But why? That's interesting. Lord Soth is not a necromancer of any kind. Why would they need Lorana's energy specifically? A royal bloodline, perhaps? Honoria will walk away from the entrance, and as she's kind of having this stream of consciousness, she walks up to where the shattered crystal is really slowly, and then kind of turns on her feet and starts walking and standing over Lorana, watching her companions heal her.
I know one thing about Lorana that didn't happen here. It'll help. If Soth knows that it happened in another timeline, maybe that's connected. If that's what you're suggesting.
Hold on a minute. Who is this lady, and what do you mean timelines?
Oh, sweet Kender. What would I know of the dragon orbs?
Well, that's a really good question. You can roll me a history check.
Okay. I do not have any inspiration.
You do. You have 2 inspiration.
I am going to use one of those 2 inspiration.
Okay.
That is a dirty 20.
Because the dragon orbs have come into conflict in history recently with the War of the Lance, you know them from a historical war point of view, that these were part of the strategy used to defeat dragon armies at key battles. So you know of their existence and their power. You wouldn't know specifically of their origins, how they're used exactly at an arcanic level, because you've never personally had one yourself to study.
Yet. I do not think Lorana is safe. I think that he will need her again. She is best kept with us for her protection. I say, looking over to the knight specifically.
He looks back at you like you've just told him that the sky is blue, that the ground beneath their feet is dirty. Of course she's staying with us. He will not get her again.
Now
well, we can carry her, but where are we going to go? Sorry, Raquan.
No, we have to leave, and even if we split up, we should find a way to get back to the cabin and find a plan there. But this is too dangerous of a place to just sit here.
Yeah, the cabin's a good place. We should all definitely meet up there. And if not, I got some friends we could all stay with if, the cabin's not far enough away.
Wasn't the cabin about to be overrun?
You have friends nearby, Nova?
Well, I got friends all over the place.
What kind of friends?
They're not more skeletons in the dungeon, are they?
Oh no, he wasn't really a friend. He was more of like a prison acquaintance.
Oh Oh, no. Okay, no. Calling the shots.
She's
Absolutely
gonna
not.
just take off her jacket and show off. I got friends in here, and on her back is a beautifully well done tattoo of a white rose.
Any significance to that? I do speak Kender. Maybe you've been around some Kender tribes. Like, can I pick up what she's putting down here, essentially?
It's not Kender specific, but you've definitely all heard mention of the White Rose, whether it's an individual or a group, as a sort of rebel force. When you were in Harthalen, they were concerned that you may have either been agents of the King Priest, come from the outside to Nightland, or that you might have been working with the White Rose, which has ties to tribes of wild elves who sort of live in the wilderness and eschew Soth's rule.
What does a shoe mean?
It's something that you wear on your feet, Rokon. Not you specifically.
All right.
Would that
How are we
would
going to
be
get out of here?
shoes.
Rokon, if you would assist the lady, I believe that we should follow Nova. And suppression of a shudder goes down my spine, and I kind of roll my shoulders a little bit as I cannot believe the blasphemous words that are coming out of my mouth to follow a Kender.
Jordan, do you want to carry her, or should I?
I appreciate it, my friend, but yes, I will care for the general.
Then, Nova, lead the way.
We just gotta get out of the castle first, really. It's pretty easy to find them. Well, it's actually not easy to find them, I just know where to look.
Let us backtrack the way that we have gone. Through the prisons, gets us away from the sky and away from anything
And
that
we got
flies
a
in
map.
it.
Yeah, you know, do you think that's dragons outside? I mean, I've heard, but I haven't really, seen.
It certainly sounds like dragons, and I'd rather not stick around to find out when they're coming.
Oh my gosh, have you fought a dragon before?
Yes.
Were you on another dragon? Because I've always wanted to go dragon jousting.
Can we get going?
Yeah,
Riordan leaves with carrying Lorana. As he walks past Nova, he says, "If you follow me, I will draw a picture later." And as he walks out.
All right, I'm just saying that if we would go dragon jousting, we gotta get that Dragonlance thing I heard of, because you can't go jousting without a lance.
This is the conversation that's happening as you begin to descend the stairs back towards the throne room. Is anybody staying behind?
Yeah, I'm picking up some of that sweet crystal. Anything that is remotely spell component lore worthy. Just,
Yeah, there's some shards of crystal you can probably make good use of.
I think Agatha pries a nice shard out of her arm. She was right next to it when it explodes, and she's going to keep a hold of that. But she'll proceed after Riordan, and she wants to go look at the window before going down the stairs. So I seem to remember it's kind of narrow stairs that we go down.
Right, so there's two sets of sort of winding stairs that come down to the throne room itself. And in the throne room, which is beyond dead chandelier that's sort of just swaying lightly in the breeze, cobwebs, and then the actual throne itself, which is cold and metal and not adorned by anything. There is a window. You can look out the window there if you'd like.
That is what I would like to do.
So as you're looking out, what you can see is that you're not high up in the castle, but you are fairly high up above the town, and there is a long winding mountain pass that leads back down to the eastern gates of the town below. You can see the town there, and Dargard is on fire. People are fighting and screaming in the streets. You can see what looks like warriors, armed men, like lines of men rushing into each other, people fleeing from burning houses. And you can see there now a single skeletal dragon. It's about the size of a large house, a mansion. And it's sort of moving through the streets. Its bony tail is knocking buildings down in its path. and you watch as it opens its maw and unleashes a breath of fire that melts both innocent bystander and cooks, knights in their armor.
Are you saying there is a Dracolich wrecking shit right now?
Yes, and I'll mention this too because we've been away since the end of our. There's two of them that you remember in your vision, Honoria. You remember seeing an army of undead marching south towards the town of Dargard. You remember seeing Lord Soth riding on the back of an ancient red dragon, flanked on either side in the air by two smaller dragons. And those two dragons were undead skeletal dragons. You saw that in the temple for a moment. You didn't share all of that information. You basically just told everyone he's coming.
Dragon Queen. I mean, I need to look up some stuff about Dracoliches. Honoria's in her own head for a second.
I'm pretty sure
Can
there's
I make a nature check? Because like my questions are essentially Dracoliches don't really team up for shit, and Soth isn't a Death Knight, but Takesis is also Queen of Dragons and kind of a bitch, so it makes sense they'd all be working together. But
you can make me an Arcana check.
There's CR4. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's it. There's CR4. Yeah, you don't think looking at these creatures, they lack some of the features of Dracoliches. Usually you can tell in the eyes if there is the soul of the lich inside the dragon. These are more like undead dragons, you think. With a 25, you're not sure how powerful they are, certainly powerful enough that they can still use magic and breathe fire. But
I feel
full
like
witches,
this is tied to the crystal in Lorana and somehow, and it's just like right outside my grasp, and it's driving me crazy.
You only see one of the dragons currently, Agatha, as you're looking down. You are all in the throne room, and I'll say at this point, you can see around your feet, there's a small amount of green mist. It's thin, swirling, not covering the entire floor. It's sort of layered right between where you're all standing. And as you move through this room, it seems to kind of follow you a little bit.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you first.
Is I want to take my sword off of my back, and I want to kind of wave it through the mist. And it's almost like what I would do to absorb elements. I want to almost try and taste the element that is here in this mist, if it is an element.
Okay, and is this a special? No, I like it. I like it. So, what's the ability that you're using here? Anything, or are you just feeling?
Just feeling, because as I'm used to, like, when elements hit me, I absorb them and I channel them back through the sword. It's almost as if I want to try and treat the mist as if it's an attacking element and try and absorb it to rechannel it the way I would if it were an element like poison or acid or fire or...
Absolutely. Roll me an Arcana check.
Okay. Using my elemental focus. 13.
While you're swirling your sword around the mist seems to dance around your sword, avoiding it. Not that you're cutting through that air, but that the air is moving away from your blade before you can touch it. And all around you, you feel the temperature begin to drop. It suddenly becomes, for you, Agatha, very, very cold, bone cold. And those wisps begin to rise up, no longer at your foot level. They're starting to take shape. For a second, inside that fog, you can see the spectral figure of an elvish maiden, her face. And then she's fog again. And then it's her face. She's drifting in and out of focus.
Strange magic. It's almost like it's alive. It's not an element. Something else. And she's trying to figure out within herself if she believes this is like an evil, malicious force shaping it to look like an elven woman, like maybe the general, because obviously we're fixated and we're easily distracted, or if it is the essence of Lorana that was in the crystal, going by like the stasis and sucking out her energy, and this is just from the release of all that magic.
It doesn't look like Lorana. Her hair is shorter. She is beautiful when you can see her face. But you do have a growing sense of unease, and everyone else can see this figure too. The longer you kind of watch it, the more its shape becomes almost solid. The maiden is beautiful, like I said, but there's something sad about her face. She would look pitiable if it weren't for the fact that her eyes have a sort of mad, wide glare to them.
Is this the lady who was riding the wyvern that tried to attack us on her way out?
She doesn't look just like her, but it does, like the green, the glow, the mist does remind you.
Well, Nova's gonna do her typical, oh, hi there, when she sees her.
She opens her mouth. She doesn't look at you. She's just sort of drifting in between all of you. And the sound that comes out of her mouth is sort of like the static crackle of a TV that's turned to the wrong channel. It's the...
Mayat Kandala. I cast Mage Armor.
I didn't quite get that. I don't think you're fully here yet, but we're just gonna pass on by. You don't mean you any harm. We're just passing on through. We hope you have a nice day.
We should move quickly. This castle's got a lot of eyes, and a lot of them are going to be looking for us.
Yeah, Riordan is moving towards the cells. He's not stopping unless something stops him as he's carrying Lorana. So,
and are we all keeping up?
And just a quick question about the throne. Is it like a stone throne that's like into the floor, or is it like a fancy chair?
Okay, so it's an iron throne that's set into the stone. It's not the iron throne. It's much less fancy. It's just very, very cold, dark iron. And it's attached into the stone. If you're thinking about breaking it or taking it with you, you might be able to. You'd have to probably work pretty hard at it.
First off, why do you know me so well? Second off, I'm going to go to Lily and like take her in and use my pace to dictate her pace.
Okay. And how are you trying to help Lily? Because right now Lily actually looks pretty frightened of this green mist. It's when it tries to speak, and that's the sound that comes out. Lily actually pulls behind Nova, and she's kind of like hiding behind Nova right now.
Using all soft body language and then whispering in my most delicate timbre.
Hurry. We need the faster we leave, the safer you'll be. I promise.
All right. With sort of a sympathetic attempt to try to convince her, give me a persuasion test.
All right. 18.
And she pulls away from Nova and then throws herself now around your leg. And she kind of looks up to you and she pulls a little bit on your fur and nods her head. She'll follow you.
I do want to take her and like put her on my back and then place her hands on my horns.
When you put her hands on your horns, you hear a squeak out of her, and you can kind of feel her wriggling on your neck, and then she hunkers down and she holds on tightly.
All right, and then going to continue to move at a pace out of the room with everyone else.
All right.
I guess I will pick up the rear unless someone specifically wants that.
And I saw a stealth check from Avrin. How's Avrin processing everything?
Yeah, she saw the mist starting to fly. Something just went, no, nope. And actually she's sticking up on the walls right now. And
all right,
she's going to be like almost next to Riordan, or at least in the same plane.
You're not climbing down the stairs, you're climbing down the walls as they're climbing down the stairs, I like that image. Avrin, just as a reminder, you are very hungry.
I know.
And as you're climbing down the walls for a second, Lily looks up and your eyes meet. And then she looks away and kind of holds tighter around Rookon.
Yeah, I think Avrin, her eyes linger for a moment, and then she shakes her head and looks forward, trying very hard not to pay any attention to her.
That green mist follows you at your pace as you speed up or slow down. It continues, and the elven maiden inside the mist, she doesn't look at you. Every once in a while, she opens her mouth, and that sound, that crackle, comes out again. And you have now reached, at this point, the front hall, the entrance hall of Dargard Keep, and you know the dungeons are down below. There is a door that leads out onto that mountain pass that goes down to the town. So you kind of have a choice at this point. You can continue down. You do have a map of the dungeons. It did get you through them before, so following in reverse would be possible, or you could do something else. There are multiple doors and rooms in this hall if you wanted to explore, but obviously you right now hear that roar again, and then another roar that accompanies it.
As they decide on direction, Agatha's going to turn back to that elven maiden, and sword still out and in hand, she's going to point up to the stone of the wall and say, "Write your words there. They'll last longer than the sound you're making. Maybe someone will notice them. Maybe it'll matter. Words in stone last a long time, even in a castle like this."
The green mist, as Agatha's talking, finally the maiden's head turns. It rotates all the way around until it's facing back in the opposite direction, and its eyes looking right towards Agatha. I need everyone to make me a charisma saving throw.
Okay.
I need inspiration. 17.
Oh, yeah, we have that, don't we? Oops.
Yeah, we do.
16 for Riordan.
16. Rookon with an 11, and Nova with a 9. And Avrin used inspiration. The mist begins to move. Its head continues to turn until its eyes lock onto Nova. And it begins to whip around you in a slow dance. How does Nova react to that?
Well, this seems friendly. So, I'm just gonna dance back.
You're dancing with her?
Yeah. It seems like it doesn't seem malevolent yet. You never know who could be a friend. I mean, they're all
So
pretty much people are friends until proven otherwise. So, I'm just gonna dance back.
As you begin to dance with the ghost, it's an elegant movement, the way she turns around you, and her mist is entirely swirled around your waist. She begins to whisper to you, and now you can hear her words. It's like she's drawing in air and releasing it. Her words are almost backwards. And she says, "You have been away from home too long. It'll be too late when you return." She continues to dance.
Well, I don't know about that. You know, I mean, I've been away for a while, but I really don't. I'm kind of transient. Don't really have a specific home. So.
The figure's head at this point begins to change, and she pulls away from you only a little bit. That green mist explodes with a little bit of bright light, and for a second you're kind of dazed. You feel now that terrible cold that Agatha felt before, and the maiden's face twists and no longer looks elvish. It looks almost primated, something bestial about the way its nose becomes a snout. And as its mouth opens up, you hear a terrible piercing wail come out of the creature. It's like an alarm, but it doesn't stop. You all hear it. It splits your ears. And I need you all to go ahead and make me another charisma saving throw.
I'm going to use an inspiration on this one.
Yeah, this is getting an inspiration too, Don.
Okay.
Yep. Oh my god.
Yes, well played, Greg. Thank you, Greg. It's a 16.
All right. And then one for Sir Riordan as well. So, from this wail, Rookone, Agatha, and Averin, even with your inspiration, you will take 17 psychic damage. And Nova, you will take only half damage.
Okay.
So you'll take 8 psychic damage.
Okay.
At this point, the creature continues to solidify. It becomes less and less human looking. Its long hair is no longer hair, but it's whipping snakes of green mist. And in its right hand, she grips an icy black sword.
Well, this seems definitely less friendly now.
And you all roll me initiative.
Fuck. God fucking damn it. I was just gonna try.
So I have advantage on initiative, so 16.
Okay. So we have Rook, Nova, Agatha with a 3.
We can identify that this is a banshee without a roll, or
So at this point, Nova and Rookone have both seen a creature just like this before. It was riding a wyvern. It was being driven in a chariot by a wyvern. So they would recognize this at this point. It definitely is a banshee's wail. So I'm going to say you're all experienced adventurers at this point. If you've never seen a banshee, you get the idea at this point.
okay.
We all got some inspiration coming in, one for everybody, and then plot armor for Riordan and Honoria. All right, Rookone, you are up first.
All right. Well, going to gently take Lily off of my horns and set her somewhere near a wall or a corner, the closest area she can be without me having to move. And then the getting the psychic damage kind of tosses me back, and my head starts to shake a little bit, and I rear up with my knuckles and I pound the ground, and the bricks crack and the blood vessels in my eyes burst and my shoulders shift, and I start to grip my fingers into the broken, shattered stones beneath me, and I rear up as I spend a bonus action to go into a rage. And then how far away is the banshee from me?
You're pretty close to Nova, so 10 feet.
Gotcha. So as I charge, it seems as though every step I take, the earth beneath me rumbles, and those that are near me, they get the taste of a breeze, not so much that I'm making the wind move, but the wind is getting the fuck out of my way. And I'm going to Goring Rush the banshee.
Go for it.
All right.
A 12 is a hit.
All right. And 20 damage.
Oh no, that you rolled another attack roll.
I sure did. By that I meant so 18 total
18 damage. All right.
And then I'm going to use my reaction to hammering horns. The banshee prone. I think the strength DC is 17.
So as you charge the Banshee, the mist parts at your horns as you slam into it. You feel like you made contact with something, but it's strange and impartial. It doesn't feel entirely solid, and the mist recoalesces around. As you try to hammering horns, again, the mist parts and then reforms. The Banshee cannot be knocked prone.
All right, well then that's it for me.
All right. Nova, it's your turn. At this point, you would see Lily as he sets her down. She's pressed her back up against the wall and she's making herself small. She's ducked down onto her haunches.
Okay. Well, Banshee Lady was nothing last time, so I'm just gonna do a firebolt on her.
All right.
I hope that hits.
That is a hit.
Is it finally rolling the right damage? No, because we just leveled up, so it went up again, I think. Nope, it is correct. That's it. Yep.
16.
Yep, 16 fire.
The fire actually seems to catch, and for a second, the misty shape, it's almost like the mist is melting away at the heat of your blast, and some of the sword begins to melt as well, and you can see black ichor dropping down from its blade to the ground.
All right, and I'll just kind of, staying, close to Lily, kind of just standing in front of her again.
The Banshee at this point, reforming entirely, is closest to Rakone, and Rakone, her head tilts around so that her spectral mouth is close to your ears, and you hear her whisper to you, I need you to make me a charisma saving throw.
I definitely use an advantage on this, because I learned my lesson. Yay.
That is better. So you took 17 psychic damage before, correct, Rakone?
Yeah, I did speak up about the thing that happened, but I just happened to be muted. And then he started talking, and I just thought it was like, don't bring it up again,
So although this time as she whispers to you, it's in that static tone again. You can't hear what she's saying. It's that kind of you still remember the wail before, and it reminds you of the screams of the lunatics on the Ivory Hills, the times you've envisioned that place, the Whispering Beast. You are vulnerable to psychic damage. This is a permanent consequence of your falling at the blade of Lord Soth. So you actually took 34 psychic damage before, not 17.
Mm-hmm.
This time, however, you do not take any psychic damage. However, she will stab at you twice with her black sword. So that is going to be a 22 and a 20.
Don, am I close enough to Sentinel here?
Oh yeah, we could say that.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to take a swing with Absolution. I'm going to Great Weapon Master too, so this will be at a -5.
Okay.
Why not? So it's a 15, which should hit.
15 is a hit.
So that'll be 16 plus an additional 10 for 26 slashing damage with Absolution as he cuts at the creature as it tries to stab at Rakone.
All right. And your blade begins to glow just briefly with that same light you've seen it give off a few times now since Harthalen. As you cut through the mist, you feel like you're rending something solid. It feels like you're rending the flesh of a man, something you're more familiar with fighting. The mist does reform afterwards, but a little more slowly. It does still hit Rakone because Rakone is within 5 feet for a total of 20 cold damage.
Now that is halved. Because of rage.
Okay, so 10 cold damage. That is the Banshee's turn. Honoria, it's your turn.
Yeah. We're going down like a staircase?
Right now you're in the hall. They're like the long entry hall, and imagine there are many rooms that go off
Okay, so
on either side.
got room. I don't have to worry about accidentally hitting one of my friends if I move off 30 feet and
This is
Canis. I'm going to use Dragon's Breath on the Banshee at level 3.
all right.
Deck save. My spell save is 15, so eat it.
That is a 15.
It is a 15?
Mhm.
It still takes half?
I think so. Yeah.
6 points of damage. And
Alright.
I will keep moving my full 30 feet, and that'll be my action.
And you're moving like down the hall, or are you going down the stairs towards the dungeon?
Going down the stairs towards the dungeon, because that's like where we came in through, and we're retracing our steps. So I strongly feel that my friends have got this, so I'm not really wanting to pull out all the stops.
Sure. Greg, it's your turn.
Okay, so what he would have done actually on the sentinel move, or as soon as this creature materialized, he would have lowered Lorana to the ground, and if he could make eye contact with Lily as he was knelt there, dropping Lorana to the ground, he would look at the child, protect her. And then he would turn around, take his swipe whenever it came after Raccoon, and now he's going to launch his own attacks. This is Great Weapon Master as well. 12.
That's a hit. Yep.
Let me see, do I reroll any of those? Yep, one of them. So that would be 11, 21 points of slashing damage.
Perfect.
And Absolution again. That would be 23 to hit.
That is a hit.
14 for 24 points of slashing damage. For a total of what, 55? Or 45, excuse me. I can
45, yeah. Go ahead and roll me a persuasion test. Check.
$19.
So you continue to press this banshee, and you cut through it again and again, and each time it's pulling a little further away from you and a little further away from you. Its long, monstrous face no longer looks like a human or an elf. Now is turned towards you, but you do continue to hurt it, and afterwards you happen to glance over and you see standing above Lorana the small figure of Lily. And she's picked up a stone from the ground and she's holding it like it's a weapon, and she's just waiting. And you can see that she's scared, but she's ready, and she is using her action to prepare an attack if the creature were to come within range.
Doesn't she have a blunted dagger that we were training her with?
She does, yes, but she's holding a rock right now.
All right.
She's actually using both hands to hold it up. Agatha, or that's the end of Riordan's turn, or you have anything else?
Riordan is just going to interpose himself between the Banshee and the rest of the party. If it indeed wants to fight him, then by God it can.
All right. Agatha, it's your turn.
Agatha, who I think was, if I get this image right, it was slightly back. She was the last of the party, and the Banshee turned back to look at her. She's gonna back up like 5 feet, make sure she's got a nice range, and it's Hasta Nafia, and out of the end of the great sword comes this spear of fire, as I'm gonna cast Firebolt as my cantrip.
Excellent.
So I can get onto the right sheet. That one.
A 12 is a hit.
Good. 9 fire damage. It's not a good roll. That's alright. And then I'm gonna come charging up, and because I have war magic, I'm gonna make a two-handed greatsword attack just to get this woman's attention, because the more she's spinning round and round, the more we all just get to hit her like a pinata, so. But I want to play pinata with the Banshee. 19.
That's a hit.
And it'll be 12 slashing.
You cut through.
Magical damage, right, with the sword?
Because your sword is yep. So just like with Sir Riordan, you feel purchase. Even though you can't see bones, you can feel the snapping of something like bone. And this banshee, again, recoalesces and pulls further and further away. Its eyes are wide and angry. I think that brings us to Averin.
Yep. So how far away is it from me right now?
You're on the wall, right?
I'm on the wall.
We'll call it 30 feet.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm going to run down and take out my bone tonfa. That is magical now because of boons, and it's going to slip between my allies and hit it if I can.
Absolutely. I'll give you advantage on this too if you're coming at it from behind.
Cool.
A 23 is a hit.
23. A 10, and I'm going to hit again. A 27.
It's a hit, and you'll have sneak attack damage as well.
I'm going to use sneak attack.
Perfect.
14. So that is 35 points of damage.
All right. I need Agatha, Averin, and Riordan to all make charisma saving throws.
Inspiration.
Yes, the inspiration's coming out here again.
God.
Inspiration.
Shit.
Well, guys, we should have played bards.
As you strike this creature with your weapons, one of your weapons, you feel something solid beneath. And that first strike is actually enough to finish it off. As it begins to dissolve, shrinking back to the ground, you see at last, before it disappears, two bursts upwards, like a drowning creature trying to come out of the water before it falls beneath. And each time it comes up like a long strand of mist with a face on the end of it. It whispers. Riordan and Averin, you both hear something. Agatha, you only hear the crackle. You will both take 17 psychic damage, Averin and Riordan. And Riordan, what you hear in that voice that seems to be breathing in and out with its words, its gasping words. Honoria is keeping a secret from you. You will feel its bite very soon.
He will stare back, and if this thing is face to face with him whispering, he will whisper into its face, "No kidding."
It falls back down into the stone and then gasps back up again. And it's that second gasp when Averin hears, "Your lover was a madman. He murdered you. Do you really think that he loved you?" And then
Doesn't say anything.
It falls back down into the stone, and just a thin layer of green mist. That mist drains into the cracks of the floor and disappears. It's quiet now.
Well, that was dramatic. Everybody okay?
And for the 54 seconds that are left of his rage, he's slamming his head into the brick walls, trying to rip up bricks from the floor, digging his fingers through the mortar of the brick in the floor and trying to heave up stones.
While this is happening, Riordan's going to go over and kneel down in front of Lily so she does not see that. He wants to block the entire view of his friend ending his rage, somebody that he knows that Lily is with quite a bit and is, being protected by. And so he'll just simply kneel down, look at the rock, and you said it's a big rock? Like she can't...
It's big for her, right? You could hold it in one hand, but for her, it's a two-handed job. And as you approach her, you can see her hands are shaking, and she's not sure if she should put the rock down now or if she should hold it up. She's still holding it up.
He walks over and he'll take the weight of the rock. He won't pull it from her, but he'll take the weight of the rock. And as he's blocking, as his friend is ripping shit on this place back here, as his brother goes crazy on the castle, he'll look at Lily. Well done. Well done. You followed orders and you did not attack. You protected. Well done.
Out of curiosity, how close are we still to the throne room?
That's the next floor up. You've descended one level.
Cool. As long as I can't see it immediately, that's good.
At the end of his rage, I want to pick up some of that stone.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, as you tell Lily, well done, and kind of take the weight of the rock, she'll release the grip and she'll release the rock into your hands. And she sort of squares her shoulders back and she looks down at her hands and she sort of stares at the kingfisher symbol on your armor and then up at your face. And you can tell, probably because you've seen this happen before, that she's not looking at your eyes. She's actually kind of staring at like your mustache, your mouth. And then she shakes her head and she gives what passes as like a salute. She doesn't really know what to do with her hands. It's not the proper salute, but she tries.
Then what he would do is he would reach out, making his movements known, and may I? And he would lightly, with his gauntleted hand, touch her wrist where she is directing her salute. And he would pull it instead to a fist against the heart as the salute that he, his father, Sergeant Sweetpine, and Kelvin did in his campaign of merit. This is how friends salute.
And she gets it immediately. She follows you. She mirrors it exactly. And she still looks scared, but there's a small smile there. And for a second, she looks relieved. There's a little bit of a rose color touching her cheeks. Meanwhile, Agatha, Nova, and Averin, what are you doing during the 54 seconds of Rook Owen's rage?
Well, I look over it wistfully a little bit and be like, because he's just so strong and impressive. And then I'm gonna go over to Averin, be like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, I'm fine.
You just seem like a very quiet person, so it's okay to be shy. Just figured I'd check in on you because a lot's kind of happened. So,
I think that you do see when she finally looks down is that she has like the beginnings of tears in her eyes, but she quickly just blinks them away. I'm just quiet. I mean, for the job.
Oh, what do you do?
Well, make a guess.
Okay, well, I kind of leans and smells you a little bit. It's not a sanitation engineer. Let's see. You're quiet and you don't have to talk a lot. Are you like a sentry, like a watch person, like a scout, like a forward scout? Those are pretty quiet.
Sure, we'll go with that.
All right then.
And you're what exactly?
Oh, like my job?
Yeah, I think she kind of just gestures at your whole deal.
Oh, well, I invent things. I craft things a lot. I get really bored, and it's a good outlet for me. I also like to set things on fire and, work with explosions a lot.
Huh.
I've taught a lot of people how to arson.
I can't say that surprises me.
It's a very effective technique when fighting against Soth.
Right.
Right. So we're gonna be great friends. And she kind of just pats you on the arm.
She just narrows her eyes.
Victoria's hands are just slowly covering her face.
How about Agatha? What's Agatha doing during this time?
Agatha is actually going to push forwards and go and check entrances, exits, looking for windows, see if she can get an update on dragon battle that's going on outside.
Sure.
Anything to see the state of play, because we've heard a lot of things and we made a lot of noise. So
Yeah, you'd have to climb up to get to where the windows are on this floor, but you have enough time that you can do so. You can pull over a table and kind of get up on the table and then pull yourself up to look out through the window. It's hard to make out much of
climbing pittons into the wall and just pop up onto it.
That's right.
I have mason's tools.
Make use of the pittons any chance you can get, which I think this is the third time you've used them already in this campaign, so that's above average. So yeah, you climb up the wall, and you get to the window, and you kind of peer through. Again, it's hard to see a lot of detail through a window, especially when you're above the town, but from your vantage point, you can see that through the town, the battle is still being fought. There are a lot of knights coming from the south, and even though a lot of the town is on fire now, you can see a charge of mounted men rushing the southern gates in the distance to line. So the rebels, whoever they are, they haven't given up yet, but you do see now the second skeletal dragon moving in the opposite corner of the town. This one is climbing over top of what looks like a steepled building, maybe a church of some kind, or maybe that's what it was at some point, a meeting hall. And you watch as it snaps its bony neck down and it captures something in its jaw, and you can see it shaking it. The other one is setting fire to 3 knights, all of whom are bravely charging in on horseback, and you see them incinerated almost instantaneously. One of them actually manages to crawl away from the flame a few feet before its charred armor falls into the ground. And that's just what you see within a few seconds. It is chaos down there.
There's more than one dragon out there. There's 2 skeletal ones. I've never seen anything bigger than a wyvern.
Well, that's not good. But anyways, if you need anything, just let me know. And she kind of pats Avern on the arm again. We should probably get going. Is everybody good to go?
I would say at this point, Rookone, your rage has worn off. Honoria, you've been able to go back and pick up some broken shards of Dargard Keep, some Dargard rocks for your collection.
Wait, you mean Dargard shards?
I missed that. I really should have had that.
Done.
All right, so I've shaken it off. Like, obviously my head's bloody and my hands are bloodied and kind of coming to. And
I lost myself for a moment. We were leaving. What's the best way? Do we have to climb back down the cliff?
Follow the Kender.
I mean, if no one's opposed to the cliff, we can just go right back down that way. Or we could try to kind of just sneak out that way in the chaos of battle, but that just sounds a little precarious. So
Getting down is easier than getting up. Could repel.
All right. Let's go. I pull out the dungeon map.
You all descending then into the dungeons again to retrace your steps. I think it's a little bit
just as distant-minded as I am. Like, there is something that she is trying to piece together, and is just like,
So let's talk about this just for a moment.
Oh, okay.
Because Honoria, your mind has been pulled in a lot of different directions through different times. You have had a lot of information thrown at you. Right now, Is there anything in particular that she's wrestling with, trying to put together? Because if it's something that you possibly could figure out with the information you have, I'll let you make a roll for it.
There's two major things that are dominating Honoria's thoughts right now. Why did Lord Soth put her in that shard? Why would he keep her there? What could he possibly gain from her other than the obvious war tactics of destroying the gold in general, which would make people weaken? But I have this inkling that it has something to do with the dragons and the undead, and he didn't expect us to survive that situation. So if I could warn her or go back in time and say something to her, what would I say or what would I ask? And the other thing is, I really, 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 really hate Averin's sister, and how can I kill her?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you the second one as a freebie. You know that you went to sleep in a ruin, and that Averin's sister robbed you while you were sleeping, took from you several items of great power, including the bloodstone that you gained when you passed your test of high sorcery, including the shadow serpent, the black gem that is said to have some sort of power, possibly the power to kill a man, maybe even a being as powerful as Soth. You know that you saw in a vision, possibly the future, Agatha going through some sort of tunnel, placing 3 gems into a door, that door opening as they clicked into their recesses, and there being some sort of forge in the room beyond. And you know that Fistandantilus has been haunting you, attacking you in your sleep, that he is the father of, the adopted father of both Averin and Leerly. So where would Leerly be? Your best guess is wherever Fistandantilus would be.
Third stone. Sorry.
And
Brain
then
is wizarding.
And then roll me a history and an arcana check, and I'll tell you what I can about the crystal, since you've obviously put a lot more. It's been haunting you since your original checks.
I wish I'd used inspiration on that, but 28 and 17.
I mean, 28 is pretty good. So magically, you can tell a little bit more with a 28. It's not that it was draining her life force. It was attempting to extract her soul itself. That was the purpose of the device. The 17 history, I will give you, there are a lot of rumors about the most important people in the time of the War of the Lance. The heroes and the villains, they are already the stuff of legends. In our time, they would be the equivalent of, celebrities, right? So Lorana is a celebrity. Soth is something of a celebrity. So there are always rumors about who's romantically involved with whom. There were rumors, you're not sure about the details, that there was some sort of romantic interest with Lord Soth on both the part of Kitiara, the Blue Lady, and Lorana, that he had expressed interest in both of them, was obsessed, is the rumor, with both of them.
Okay, that gives me a direction to go with. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, Nova leads us down. You are all descending into the dungeons as Honoria's mind is spinning, and Lily is once again clinging to Rookone, kind of following, peeking around his leg. She does now have her wooden practice weapon out just in case. And things have changed in the dungeon since we were here before. You see now in cages in the cells moving across the floor, brief glimpses of light, and those lights in the shape of people. This isn't the green mist of the Banshee, but these are spectral figures. They're there one moment and not the next. They're in ragged clothes. They look emaciated. Some of them are reaching through the bars of the cells as you try to pass. And you can hear the moans of people who've died here. That's what it seems like. You can see their visages, their faces. The first time you see this, it's an old man, and in the cell with him, behind him, is a woman, spectral figured. You don't see through them at first. They almost look like they're actually there. And Nova, with you being in the front, you can see him reaching through the cell towards you. You can hear him whispering, "Help us, let us out, let us out."
Sorry, I don't have the keys, but you seem pretty spectral, so if you just wanted to move through the bars, you probably could. Unless you're a malicious ghost, in which case I probably shouldn't have said that.
He continues to reach and shake at the bars, but his hand doesn't seem to pass through the bars.
Okay.
You can see through him, though, at this point. Go ahead and make me a charisma saving throw.
Oh, no. I'm so bad at this. Do I want to use an inspiration? Yeah, let's use an inspiration. Why not? Seems important. 19.
That's good. You manage to kind of will yourself to not be compelled, but for a moment, you hear him inside your head, "Let us out, let us out." And then he and his wife are gone. You see another figure drift across the hall ahead of you. All around you now, there are ghosts. They don't seem to attack you or try to touch you. Every once in a while, one of them tries to briefly interact with you, ask you a question. What's the lineup here? How are we progressing through the dungeon? We have Nova in the front with a map.
I'll be behind Nova.
Okay.
With Lily like close in tow.
I'll be behind Rook.
Okay. So now we're at the middle. Who wants to be in the middle of the lineup?
I always try to get at the very back if possible, but
Okay.
Second to last is also fine with me.
How about Agatha? Agatha, are you taking up the rear again?
That is her preference because she doesn't like things charging from behind. She's had a few bad incidents. But if Honoria is like specifically body language saying like, "I'm gonna hang out at the back," she'll be kind of...
I'm okay with you being behind me and having that extra meat shield.
extra body in the way.
Extra body in the way. How about Avrin?
She's gonna stick in the middle and just keep an eye out.
Is she walking, or is she like creepy? Right? Is she on the ceiling?
Is she on the ceiling? I think so. Yeah.
I imagine her like that chick in Grudge where she's just doing like the crab and just walking, head completely round the wrong way.
I mean, not quite that.
Don't let the kids see it. Is all I'm saying.
I was gonna say Riordan is like looking at Lily as she's they're right in front. He's, "Isn't she funny? Look at her climbing on the sea. She's a trickster. She's a really nice person. There's nothing wrong with her. She's not evil or
Oh no, I
drink
climb
your
on
mind."
the ceiling all the time with Mr. Pew Pew. It's totally normal.
Totally fine.
Lily, when we get out of here, I'll let you climb on the ceiling of someplace. I got a little thingamajigger that'll let you do that.
She gets excited looking for just a moment. She's still, the ghosts are pretty scary for her right now, so she's really hiding in the middle of you guys as much as she possibly can. But you get a noticeable like look over the shoulder, from her when you mention having a device that'll let her ride up on the ceiling. Meanwhile, Sir Riordan, you're also carrying Lorana, and you feel her sort of stir on your shoulder. You can hear her mumble again, and this time you can actually make out the words, Riordan.
Yes, General, I'm here.
Where are we?
We are among the enemy. We are moving to more favorable ground.
How did I get here?
I do not know how any of us got here. It was during the attack on the city. I believe that is when it occurred.
Where is Tennis?
And though it is beneath him, I would guess that those on the front lines were the ones that were taken by this event. Tennis is not a fan of that position.
Roll me a persuasion check.
Strong 12, Don.
You feel her shift on your shoulder. She's still weak. She's not really looking at you. But you can feel the shake of her head. No, that's not him. You're wrong. We were together. We were fighting side by side. And then the black rain, the shadows.
As you say, General. The last I saw him, he was retreating from our position at the barricade, taking half of my force with him on his dragon.
You can feel her breathing a little more slowly again, and you're not sure if she heard you or not, but she doesn't respond. If you were to look, you would see that she's fallen asleep once again.
Good.
So as we're all progressing through the dungeon, is anybody trying to interact with a ghost? Is anybody taking any particular precautions?
I'm watching where I'm walking, which is more than most of the time. Making sure to kind of just keep an eye on the grabby hands. And she definitely leans back and asks Rook, so who exactly is Lorana?
Just heard tales. She's a leader. I don't know her personally, and now does not seem like a good time to introduce myself.
Yeah, no, not really. I just was wondering, because I've literally never heard of her. So
I will say this, for Riordan to call her general means a great deal.
I mean, that's like a rank.
A high rank. But what I'm more concerned with is these souls.
Yeah, they're a little troubling. They seem
trapped.
troubled.
Nothing should be trapped.
They weren't here on the way down, or the way up, rather. And we broke the crystal, and now they're all here, so maybe they're related.
Maybe.
Maybe it was like just sucking everybody in who died here. Just like into crystal. And now that it's broken, they're all like back down here, but there's no bodies to go to because they all been, eaten or something.
It could be a trap, but maybe if we free them, they could help us in some way. They don't want to be here.
A lot of people don't like where they are in life, but you can't help everyone.
Do I believe that?
I mean, if are you trying? You can roll me an insight check.
I'm not chaotic good anymore. I'm chaotic neutral.
Linda, you can roll persuasion or deception, whichever one you feel is.
She's not. I mean, if she was chaotic good, still it might be a slight deception, but she's persuasion now. 6.
I'm not sure there's anything scarier than a chaotic neutral Kender.
Yeah.
Back to you, Dawn.
There is, Greg. It's when she's not on our side. That's when it's real scary.
Or if my alignment shifts again, I'm chaotic evil.
With a 14, I think you have enough insight to get a sense of where she's coming from, because she's not lying.
No.
But
she's got kind of like a heavy look on her face for this. Like she's seen a lot of people die.
So what's Rookon doing with this information? Anything, or is he just filing this away?
No, like he sees it as truthful and is kind of taking it in, and maybe if it were a different situation and he were by himself, he would try to investigate and free the souls, but now there are greater things at stake and the priority list is different.
This is why I have a best friends list. Gotta have those priorities straight, because hesitation kills. So
It's at this point that as you made your way through the dungeons without any true confrontation, just the ghosts of the people who died here or spent a lot of time here. Nova, you lead everyone to the secret exit of the dungeon. This is a hole in the wall that you found before. You used it to get in and out of Dargard Keep twice now. Roll me a perception check.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
8.
The wind is howling. You're high up. It's icy outside. Mountain. You can hear a roar in the distance. It sounds far away. You can hear the sounds of battle, distant, again, ringing metal. But not from right outside the exit. You've reached the place that you all entered from. Now you flew up here. You'd have to go through, and then you can let me know what your plans are.
Well, if we plan to scale the cliff manually, I feel like that's a bad idea. Would be sitting ducks for dragonfire.
Let us rely on the magics of our companions. Or we got up here in a interesting manner. We can repeat the process.
It'll be simpler to tie rope to a tree. I say have my back kind of like half turned towards you guys, and I'm talking over my shoulder as I'm watching back the way we came.
There aren't any
Roll me a
trees up
perception
here.
check.
Me?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Super cool. That's 2. My minds are on other things right now.
How many feet up are we, Dawn?
Yeah, it's like 1,000 feet.
Like 1,000 feet. Okay.
Now, below, I mean, you'd have to go out to look, but when you came up, it was still the same as when you had left. There was an avalanche, so there's like a large layer of snow on the ground. You created the avalanche. That snow is still there at the bottom, but you're still 1,000 feet up from that.
Okay. Just doing some spell math here. Don't mind me.
Nova, I saw that your Mr. Pew Pew was able to climb along the ceiling. Could you climb down, carrying yourself and perhaps Lily or someone else?
Well, it takes a while, Mr. Pew Pew. He's not very fast, but he can climb. I can just, I can do what Avern does with this little thingamajigger here. She holds up like a mechanical spider.
I'm not the magician here, but I think that
neither
we are
am
making
I.
progress. Right, well...
That's her over there.
You possess powers beyond my scope and comprehension.
I'm just real crafty.
Oh, sorry, that got me.
I am.
But no, we could do like a spider climb down the cliff, or we could just jump. Like me and 5 people could just all hold hands and jump if we get like a good enough launch going on. And then we could just wait a second. Wait like 8 seconds, and then I can, use this feather device that I made. We can just fall real slowly to the ground.
I turn around and look at you all for a moment. I need just a few moments and I can cast some spells. I am concentrating on other things.
So anyway, Nova, you were saying that you can make us drop like feathers.
Yeah, we can just fall right down like feathers.
I see what you're doing.
But only 5. Wait, maybe I can do more than 5. Let me look at my device. I always write the fine print on the back in case I forget what they do. I also cross-reference with the tattoo just in case the inscription gets burned off. So, and also if the tattoo gets burned off, I have the inscription. So
this doesn't sound dangerous at all, everybody.
Yep, up to 5 people.
Rokon, roll me a perception check.
I hurt everywhere.
So yeah, if we just get a good jump out, 5 people can just hold hands and we can just
20 perception.
So as Nova continues to explain her device and her plan, you see a figure step into this exit behind her and casts his shadow over her. It's a skeletal figure wearing ancient armor. You see the sigil of the rose, long since worn away from its plate mail. But you recognize the resemblance there, the resemblance to the Knights of the Rose. Nova, you feel a wave of cold right behind you.
Whew. It's a real brisk wind out there.
Sir Riordan, you would recognize this as having been once the armor of a Knight of the Rose, but not the current knights. This is the old armor. This is the armor that you know from your timeline.
Let me ask a question. Does this armor have a prickish bent to it? Would the cut of this armor arrogant? Does it hold the markings of being cleaved by absolution and the Legion? Is this that motherfucker Sir Jeremy?
Ooh.
It is not Sir Jeremy. You think. The bones are yellow and old. He does wield a great sword that he's heaving up over his head and about to bring down on top of Nova, whose back is turned.
With the perception check, do I have time to act?
Yes, I will. So I'll allow you to act since you made the perception check.
Thank you.
What are you doing in this moment?
Wait, Riordan's talking to her. Is he just going to ignore? Can I make a reaction too?
You can. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'd like to do that.
Verbally.
Imagine this all happens in the span of like a couple of seconds.
Verbally, he'll reach out to Nova. It's like, Nova, to me! And then kind of like goes to embrace her as a hug. And then as she gets closer to me, will turn one hand to the side of her head and her ribcage and shove her to the ground to take her spot in front of the knight with his shield ready.
Perfect. Mr. Riordan?
He's going to turn around and, as well as he can, deposit Lorana behind him as he pulls out absolution to, at least, the very least, parry this blow that's coming in.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, let's check in on, first off, Avern, are you there as well?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll allow you to have seen this too.
Okay.
Is she staying on the ceiling, or is she jumping into action immediately?
Depends on how far away this dude is.
From you, probably about 15 feet.
Yeah, she's gonna move and literally jump down on this skeleton, because
Alright.
that's what you do when you're on the ceiling.
And then Honoria, has Honoria noticed? I mean, I guess you probably heard Rookone call out.
I think I probably would have heard Rookone call out, and I am going to start moving towards Lorana to keep her safe.
So Agatha, again, describe what you're doing here and what exactly it looks like to where you are.
So as Averin and Honoria kind of push through that doorway and out towards the hole in the wall where everyone else assembled, Agatha turned back towards that last cell block, looking down along this long corridor of cells with these ghostly figures in them. And she does her best to recall the words of Dwarven last rites, not having a prayer to offer them, not having a way to free them without fearing what they could do, having seen the Banshee turn more than once on us, and knowing we're about to make a very dangerous climb or descent, depending on methodology. And so she digs deep into her mind, trying to choose the right words, knowing that she can't wish these spirits back to the Dwarven homeland, because that's not where they will come from. So she'll draw on those words and she'll say, I'm not sure exactly where your homes are, but you deserve to return to them, to find rest in the stones, in the earth. Come one, the place you came from, to watch over those who came after you, to rest, have some peace away from this damn place. I don't know what Soth did to you, but we'll keep him from doing it to others. I promise you. But go, rest. Don't be bound here in this metal and stone. Go home. And she kind of closes her eyes and goes to home in her own mind as well, a longing for that place that doesn't exist here, and it doesn't even exist where she was before she came here either. A place of green fields, with the smell of baking bread in the air, with the forest, with a stream adjacent, and just kind of has a centering moment as she begins to hear the bickering filter in from outside of Nova, discussing a possibility of falling. Agatha doesn't quite grasp those words, trying to focus and center, much in the same way as when she'd been a prisoner in these cells herself.
As you try to focus on your words and your intention, you hear that sound in the back of your head, their distant bickering. You smell the bread of your home. You remember a time before your quest. What did your father look like then, during happier times?
My father was always one of those guys that was wiry. He never had a great deal of bulk to him, but he tended to prefer short-sleeved shirts for working, his arms always bare, and you'd see the clear definition in his shoulders and down through his arms of muscles. And he was always a very still person. He'd sit and seem almost like stone as he worked, reading, writing. The only times he became truly animated were when he was telling stories. And he always had these laughter lines that dug deep around his eyes and around his mouth, shaped by various expressions he made as he told stories.
What did your father look like the last time you saw him? That last moment you saw him? What do you remember?
I think I remember most watching his mouth as he tried to form the words and instructions, a mouth that told a lot of stories, the lips chapped and taut, and the trickle of blood that oozed, staining his teeth from white to yellow to red, just staring at it in the small bubble of spittle and blood just popping in the corner. His words were dry and coarse and moving up to his face. His eyes had sunken in, and what had been laughter lines were now just worn deep troughs in his face. He was tired, but his eyes were wide and wild. And I don't remember the exact words he'd said, just the feel of them. The feel of giving up. But the feeling that the story wasn't over yet. That feeling when you're put to bed before you're done with the chapter of a book. When your friend had been about to get to the punchline, but you're called in. The feeling when you want to stay up just a little bit longer. You want to do just a little bit more. When you didn't do enough. When you should have done something else. And his skin was so gray.
Your eyes open. You're there with your father for a moment, and then you're not. You're in the dungeon around the corner from your friends. You can hear some sort of commotion behind you. The spirits are gone. You can still smell a little bit of that warm bread tickling your nose. And standing before you is another knight. This one, like the other, but his bones are different. They've healed, reattached at jutting, awkward angles. And you remember this skeletal knight. This is the same one you faced before that you blew apart and it reformed. And now you're standing face to face with it. And its sword is in its hand and it's stepping towards you and you hear the commotion behind you. I need everyone to make me an initiative roll. All right.
Yeah.
So as this all happens, as this skirmish begins right at the edge of the exit of Dargard Keep, we're going to go ahead and cut away for a brief break. I'm going to get you all lined up in initiative order, and when we come back, we will continue our story for tonight.